I'm extremely happy to be in this number. I rise and I give praise unto Allah, Father of the universe. Allah is the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Man. From a time when your forefathers, the ancient Moabites, founded the holy city of Mecca. I give honor to the illustrious prophet, Noble Jew Ali, who was sent in due time by Allah to teach us the old time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men. Everlasting. This ancient and divine creed goes back to the everlasting of the past until the never-ending days to come. Don't be fooled to think that this is something new. The prophet says, the last prophet in these days is Noble Jew Ali. Understand that. The last prophet in these days is Noble Jew Ali. I'd like to give honor to the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Temple of America, who is the moderator, and in our presence, Brother R. Jones-Bey. Always an honor to have the brother amongst us. I give honor to the Grand Governor of the state of New York, Brother Sirius-El, in his absence. Brothers send us Islam to all the Moors. He's taking care of the last of the affairs for his mother's estate. He buried his mother last week. So he had to go to Alabama. He's back. Had to go to back to New Jersey and try to take care of the final affairs for the estate. To his assistant, Brother K. Richardson, I'll give honor to Brother Y. Cyrus here, Grand Sheik of Moorish Temple number 34. To his assistant, Brother W. Clendenny. To all the Grand Sheiks, Brother Revels-Bey. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Enough of Brother Clark. I want to read from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple. I want to read one verse, please. I want to read one verse. We always talk about that which is paramount. The prophet says that we need to learn to love and stay in. That is so important.
Islam.
It is one of the most important instructions that Prophet Noble Jew Ali gives to us. I'm going to read from the Holy Quran, the Moorish Temple of America, Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble Prophet Jew Ali. By the guidance of his Father God, Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life, which is Father God, Allah. Moors. I'm going to read from page number 5. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 2, education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zoan, Egypt. I'm going to read one verse, which is on page number 6. verse number 22. Islam.
Islam.
Now love cannot be manifest until its way has been prepared. And naught can rend the rock and bring down lofty hill and fill the valleys up and thus prepare the way for purity. Purity is so important. The definition of purity comes from the Latin word puritas, which comes from purus. And it means freedom from foreign admixture or heterogeneous matter, as in the purity of water. I'll read it again. Freedom from foreign admixture or heterogeneous matter, as in the purity of water. In order to get to love, and Prophet Noble Duality is love made manifest. In other words, you got to deal with purity. We have to come to the point that we recognize the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We honor all the true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. But why did Allah send Jesus to this earth? To save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time. What is our prophet to us? He is an angel of Allah who was sent to bring us the everlasting gospel. No prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings. Don't mix them with any foreign matter, anything that is outside of his teachings. But in order to do that, you got to know what the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali is. Don't worry about everybody else's teachings. Know your prophet's teachings. All the secrets of the ages known to man put in this book. The reading of the stars, marriage instructions, the span of life, and other such that were known only to the Magi. That's what the prophet explained when he first introduced the world to his teachings about what is in these teachings. No admixture, brothers. There's no need for you to look for other things to explain this. I'm not saying that you can't look at other things, you should. The wise man doubteth often and changes his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. But study the words of Prophet Noble Drew Ali intensely and learn to apply them to yourself.
Islam.
Purity in life, men do not comprehend. The prophet talks about it, and the purity is not just, it's so much to do with purity. It's purity of mind, it's purity of thought, it's purity of heart. It said, imitate I the prophet in speech and teachings. Praise Allah for sending Prophet Noble Drew Ali. One other thing, and then I'll have to see. When we think about purity, we think about the absence of sin. The definition of sin is either a positive act in which a known divine law is violated, or it is the voluntary neglect to obey a positive divine command. You see? That's why the prophet said the sin lies in the wish and the desire not to act. We think about sin as something we do. Sin is equally what you voluntarily choose not to do. And the prophet teaches us about sin. He says it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. He said that's a sin. See, we think about nationality like it doesn't have a bearing sometimes on the purity of our lives and the ability of us to uplift ourselves and become one with our Father God and Father.
That's right.
Because we do that, because we practice those names, Negro, Black, Colored, and Ethiopian, African American, all these other things, and even us that come in and we stop using those names. But what about the principles? Are you still practicing those principles with a Bey or eel on your name and a fez or turban on your head? You better check yourself. I know I have to check myself. The prophet said, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people. And this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. He says, so I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin, which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. It is the work of my people. See, these are the teachings of Prophet Noble Juwali. And the reason why I bring this up is because you get out there on Facebook and all this other stuff, you hear these Moors talk, you would think that that is definitely not the teachings of Prophet Noble Juwali. They'll have you marching for the Negro problem. They have you fighting for civil rights. These are not the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They're not. Learn the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm so glad we have our leader, Brother R. Jones-Bey, with us today. Moors, you gotta know this. When you see them out there professing to be part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, with the red, black, and green, with the black power, listen, that's not the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I love my brothers and sisters. Jesus loved his brothers and sisters. But he had pity and love for those poor children. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Now, the prophet said about purity, because he gave us a definition. And this is why this nationality portion plays a big part in the sinful ways. He said that, will you define the word white? White means purity. Purity means God. And God means the ruler of the land. Purity means God. And God means the ruler of the land. We talk about seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. The prophet said that what that meant is proclaiming a free national name to be recognized by the government in which you live. This is what is meant by seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. I didn't say it more, the prophet. Because with that, you'll not only be recognized by this government, but you'll be recognized by all governments on the face of the earth. And the prophet said, then you will receive not your civil rights, your divine rights as citizens. These are the teachings the prophet knows. If it's anything other than that, more they play it. They playing ludus, de ludus in Latin. It means to play. The prophet said, deludes to slavery. That's what that means. It's a Latin word that means to play. The prophet said, don't play with me, because I don't play. That's your prophet. So more, I've spoken more than enough. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Thank you, brother, Assistant Chairman, for calling on me. I want the Moors to have a very good time. Let us give honor to Brother R. Jones-Bey in our presence. And if there's anything that I said today that is out of line and not right, the fault is mine, is not the prophet's. Peace.
Peace.
The prophet's calling,
you can't hide. The prophet's calling, you can't hide. The prophet's calling, you can't hide. You can't hide, Muslims, you can't hide.
the truth will
Come, you can't hide.
The truth will come.
You can't hide. The truth will come, you can't hide. You can't hide, Muslims, you can't hide.
Come out in the corner.
You can't hide.
Come out in the corner.
You can't hide. By the corner, you can't hide. You can't hide, Muslims, you can't hide.
Turn your lights down low.
You can't hide.
Turn your lights down low.
You can't hide.
Turn your lights down low.
You can't hide. You can't hide, Muslims, you can't hide.
It's Judgment Day.
You can't hide.
It's Judgment Day.
You can't hide. Judgment Day, you can't hide. You can't hide, Muslims, you can't hide.
The prophet's calling.
You can't hide.
The prophet's calling.
You can't hide.
The prophet's calling.
You can't hide. You can't hide, Muslims, you can't hide. Islam.
Islam.
Praise Allah, homage to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We'd like to thank Brother D. Clark L., Grand Sheik of Temple number 54, for his reading and his words and his demonstration of the Prophet's divine instructions. The brother read from Divine Instructions from the Holy Prophet, Chapter 2, Education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zoan, Egypt, Divine Instruction 22. The brother also read from a portion of the Moorish literature, a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. Praise Allah. Thank you, Brother D. Clark L. for that demonstration. I just was told that any Moors who have left their lights on need to go out and make sure you cut your lights off outside if you park and you left your lights on. Praise Allah. Islam?
Islam.
Without further ado, I'm going to call on the next speaker for this evening, Brother Y. Sirius-El, Grand Sheik of Temple number 34, after a song. Peace.
Peace. Can't
Thank him enough,
can't serve
serve him enough,
can't lift
lift him up too high for man to see. You don't know how good Allah's been to me.
He didn't have to wake me this
This morning, but he did. Oh, yes, he did.
He didn't have to give me my child,
But he did. Oh, yes, he did.
Can't
Thank him enough,
can't serve
serve him enough,
can't lift
lift him up too high for man to see. You don't know how good Allah's been to me.
He didn't have to tell me the truth,
But he did. Oh, yes, he did.
He didn't have to show me the love,
But he did. Oh, yes, he did.
Can't
Thank him enough,
can't serve
serve him enough, and lift him up too high for men to see. You don't know how good Allah's been to me.
Islam.
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 First I rise, my thoughts, and I give praise to the great God Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The author, the creator, and the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. To him alone belong worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. The Quran says, in the depth of his mind revolveth all knowledge, and the secrets of futurity lie open before him. And the thoughts of thy heart are naked to his view. He knoweth thy determination before they are made. In respect to his precepts, there is nothing contingent. In respect to his providence, there is nothing accidental. Wonderful he is in all his ways. His counsels are inscrutable. The manner of his knowledge transcendent by conception. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
I give praise to Allah for sending us our holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, "Come all you Asiatics and learn the truth about your nationality and your birthrights." We give high honors to all of the prophets of Allah, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. I give honors to the forerunner of the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honors to all of the leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We give honors to the first Supreme Grand Advisors and Moderators, Brother Sheik and Moderator, Brother F.L. Brother Jones-Bey. We give honors to the former Grand Sheik, Brother Allah, to the present Grand Sheik and Moderator. Praise Allah. All Jones-Bey. I extend honors to the Grand Sheik of Temple number 21, Brother Revels-Bey, and to my brother D. Clark Hill, the Grand Sheik of Temple number 54. I'm not sure if the Moors are aware. I just found out recently that song that Brother Clark Hill sings, "We're Marching into Mecca." He actually wrote that. Wow. The Moors sing all over the country. We love so much here at Temple 34. Praise Allah. We give honors to the Grand Governor here in the state of New York, Brother Sirius-El, to his assistant, Brother K. Richardson-El. We give honors to the Grand Sheiks Emeritus of Temple 34, to the Sister E. Sherman-Bey, and to the former Grand Sheik, Brother W. Clendenin-Bey. We give honors to the Charter of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We give honors to the two flags combined, the American flag and the Moorish flag. There's 5 highest principles that are known to man. Principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I give honors to all the literature of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, the additional laws, the Moorish Holy Quran, the questionary, Moorish literature, and everything that the Prophet brought for the uplifting of fallen humanity. I give honors to everyone and everything that our Assistant Chairman, Brother C. Martin Stansel-Il, gave honors to. I give honors to everyone that's here this evening. Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Moors, Prophet Noble Drew Ali blessed us when as he was divinely prepared, when he gave us this Moorish Science Temple of America. Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish Divine and National Movement. In one of the articles that the Prophet, one of the texts that the Grand Sheik was just reading from, comes from our Moorish literature, a divine warning by the Prophet for the nations. The Prophet, I would say this particular text is one of the most detailed legal statements that the Prophet made, where he explains to the Moors how we can connect ourselves and answer and apply to the Constitution of the United States of America. He explains why the application of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments did not apply to the Moorish America. He explains to us our descent names and the flag of our forefathers. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us to go to those that know law and ask in an intelligent tone, and they would give us a favorable reply. What I'd like to point out, and this is the text that starts off where the Prophet says, the citizens of all free national governments are of one family, bearing one free national name. For those that have trouble with context and they take it out of context, he's not talking about Moors or Moorish or Moorish American. Prophet Noble Drew Ali is saying that we are American in that particular statement. It continues, it says, those who fail to recognize the free national name according to the constitutional government are classed as undesirable and subject to all names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And what I find very interesting, what I like to try to point out in this article, my favorite article, we just heard Brother Clarkill read from the last paragraph, which is very powerful, is how many times the Prophet points out the importance of our 5 grand principles. In the statement after I just read, it says, and Brother Clarkill referenced it a second ago as well, it says, and it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that the citizens, principles that delude to slavery. At the end of paragraph 2, at the beginning of paragraph 2, it says that I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God of Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles. Paragraph 3 at the end, the prophet says, I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. At the beginning of paragraph 4, the prophet actually warns. He said, I love my people and desire their unity and mind back to their own free national divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national constitutional laws of the government by claiming the names and principles that are unconstitutional. Paragraph 6, in the middle, says, then the lion and the lamb shall lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in the land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments in the world. In paragraph 7, which Brother Clarkill just read, expounds on what happens when we don't adhere to those principles. And you know, I find that very interesting that is what the prophet is urging us to do. When you look at the brilliance of that, as the prophet is divinely prepared, you look at the Constitution of the United States of America itself, which the prophet said is one of the greatest documents ever made, ever written. And in the preamble of the Constitution, it has the first statement, it has the 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, including unity, where it says that citizens, we the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, right? Ensure domestic tranquility, that's peace. Provide for the common defense, that's truth, right? Promote the general welfare, that's love. And ensure the blessings of liberty, freedom for ourselves and our posterity. Do, ordain, and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. And that's echoed all throughout the Constitution, a great document. I wanted to use as an example in urging this point about the importance of our principles, being the core of what the prophet is asking us to do. It's what Brother Clarkill just said. That's what Sister Williams-Dill just said. I wanted to use an exciting conversation that's going on currently in the Asiatic community. They're talking about reparations again, Grand Sheik. You know, talking about reparations, and there's an organization called the ADOS. All the Moors, some of the Moors are talking about American descendants of slavery. And you know, whether it's exciting or it's a distraction, because in my observations, in the century that the prophet, almost a century that the prophet's been on the scene, we've seen a lot of different distractions from the prophet's program. While the prophet brought the solution and left the solution, our brothers and sisters, so we're doing all kinds of stuff in disobedience. And I think about, as an example, our honorable, powerful brother Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam and a wonderful movement, the display, or Martin Luther King, or just recently we had when Barack Obama was running for president, how all of our family, they were excited about the president. It's a powerful thing. But in that is an attempt to overlook what the prophet brought. The prophet brought the solution already. And the result of all of those things is what? We still haven't accomplished what we're supposed to accomplish. Right? We still haven't moved the needle, the proverbial needle. And the Moors get blamed, you know, and it's this conversation about ADOS or reparations. You know, people attempt to throw out the baby with the bathwater, talking about what the Moors or what the Prophet did or didn't do. Yet and still, the logic it defies logic, because we've never unified around the Moorish Science Temple of America in great numbers beyond what the Prophet did. You know, we've never accomplished the first great goal of achieving unity. Our people haven't. So how can you blame something that needs your participation in it? But that aside, I want to just make an observation that, you know, this particular new movement, it doesn't complete or negate what the Prophet put aside for us. The Prophet said he was calling for us to apply, like Brother Clarkio said, the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Application, right? The Prophet he was calling for us to unify. This is what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. The overarching theme is the 5 principles. And this new movement, it attempts to reinvent the wheel, Moors. It good or bad, or otherwise, I'm not knocking positive movement, but it's attempting to reinvent something that the Moorish Science Temple of America already has. To make this a quick example, right? One of the 3 things that they're trying to accomplish, that we need to accomplish in order to complete reparations, right, is to figure out the number, right? Figure out how to apply the funds when we receive it, once we determine the number. And then they have to figure out who will receive reparations. And in that part about figuring out who will receive, that deals with, it starts to get into the decent nature, right? Our forefathers. Prophet Noble Drew Ali already did that. In order to come through the door of the Moorish Science Temple of America, you can't do it unless you have a firm, a strong connection to your ancestors that came through slavery. You can't. Tell me how that happens. How do you come to the door unless you have a passion? So, in observing that and what ADOS attempts to do, the Moorish Science Temple of America, I would guesstimate and say about 2% of the membership of the Moorish Science Temple of America will be membership of those that are sympathizers, extreme sympathizers for the Prophet's movement. They may not be of descendants of slavery, you know, but that number will be somewhere about 2%. In ADOS, they're gonna have to deal with at least 50, pushing 50% of people that are claiming that they are, but they're not. So the apparatus that would have to decide and separate and determine who are deserving of these reparations, the Moorish Science Temple of America already has it's already done better. Furthermore, my main point, dealing with principles, right? In that text, it says that it mentions the unconstitutional use of names and principles, right? That the slavery. And the solution that they provide, they overlook the 800-pound gorilla, so to speak. Our principles. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he set up a program that ensures that we return to the divine principles of our forefathers. And this does not. So whereas you look at if you analyze our people, when you say what's going on with the so-called Asiatic in America today, and you had to grade us based off not the Moorish Americans, you say, what is our character like? It's very bad. It's very bad. And in a modern world where they do war based off of, before we go to war, we're going to make sure to damage your character. So we can paint you a certain way, especially if you're not, you're not negative enough for us to just go to war with a lot of the modern wars, right? They got to paint you a certain way. That's what they do with Russia. That's what we do with Russia. That's what we did in Iran, Iraq, right? Venezuela, right? You got to paint. So if the Asiatic is already, how are we portrayed? They put us in the news, put us on a paper, in a newspaper. They make the movies so that we look a certain way. The world's public opinion is negative. Public opinion is negative. That's not good. That's not good. So public opinion, you connect that to U.S. politics. Public opinion, politics, they go hand in hand. Isn't reparations a legislation that has to be put through politics? So that's kind of like, it's unstable, right? Even if, that I would wax philosophic about the United States and whether or not it could be passed based on the conservatives and the liberals might pass it, conservatives, not liberals might. Even if they did, it would be irresponsible. They would say it's irresponsible to put a lot of money into a group of people that are immoral in general. Their public opinion said they're immoral. Look, But if they do, what will happen? What happens when you put a lot of money into the hands of people that do not have their principles intact? Come on, Moors, think about it. We can hurt ourselves, we destroy something, or we're going to give it right back. More than likely, we're going to give it right back. Look at the science of the lottery. And what happens when people hit the lottery but don't have the mentality, they give it right back. And reparations, in the middle of reparations is the word repair. To truly repair, we need to repair. The prophet is right, Moors. We need to repair the principles. We need to repair. He said in one sense, the problems of the day are largely social and economic, but in a profound sense, they're moral and spiritual. We need to not cut corners. That's bait. To offer money and say, well, you just take this money, don't worry about the principle. That's bait. You know, so I wanted to read really quickly. I just want to make that point. I want to read from chapter 47, instruction 15 and 16. Very quickly, we'll do a time check. Oh boy, I'm in the Grand Sheik's time. It's on page 59. It says, the time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess its own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery, due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. Jumping down into chapter 48, instruction number 4 says, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter from the prophet, to receive a charter the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Prophet Noble Drew Ali Moors, he set us on a path that we can change the world by changing ourselves and uplifting fallen humanity. You know, and the movement is all about principles. Unity is key. Unity is the other. If I say the 5 principles, the overarching lesson, unity sits right underneath it. And the type of unity that comes out of the 5 principles is a certain type of unity. That's the key to the movement. It says Allah, the top lesson, the main lesson in the whole Quran is teach them that Allah and man are one, but through carnal words, thoughts, words, and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. But that teach them that the holy breath will make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. Because man was the Lord of the plane of soul and of the plane of manifest. And it says Allah is all. No man lives unto himself, because every living thing is bound by cause to every other living thing. It's about unity. And by the way, unity in the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Divine National Movement, you know it's not the responsibility of one person, right? You know it's not the responsibility of the leader of the Moorish Science Temple of America to unify the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? That's every one of our job. If you're really looking at the principle and you're really studying, the leader of the Moorish Science Temple of America can only unify the Moorish Science Temple when the conditions are correct. Unity is key. Reflection, like Sister Williams was talking about, reflection is crucial. Study yourself, and when you have studied yourself, you say you're supposed to study yourself again. And sincerity is prerequisite to all of this. Because you can't find the truth if you're not sincere. You're not looking for the truth. If you're not being sincere, you are never looking for the truth. I say praise Allah to our leader, Brother R. Jones-Bey. We have a powerful leader in Brother Jones-Bey. You know, because Moors, I won't. I know a lot of the Moors are the same. I can't just follow anyone. I'm following this movement because I'm following the Prophet. He's giving off he is the message that he brings. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, imitate I, your prophet. So the leader has to have the same principles. You got to show me your principles. We're looking at each other's footsteps. Brother R. Jones-Bey is the message that he brings. You know, we're not following information. We're not following swagger. We're following the principles of the Prophet. You know, Brother Jones-Bey, you can tell that he knows the Prophet's lessons. Because he's applied the prophet's lessons and he's displaying. The prophets said we're supposed to have fruition. We're reaching for fruition. And we're supposed to imitate the prophet. So I say praise Allah for Brother Jones-Bey. And I'd like to say praise Allah. Happy holy day to the Moors that are here. I won't take up more time than that. With that, Moors, I'd like to give honors to everyone again that's here this evening. And I bid the Moors in peace.
In the water, Muslim. In the water, Muslim. Wade in the water, Muslim. Raleigh done troubled the water. Oh, who's that yonder all dressed in green? Raleigh done troubled the water. It must be the Muslim that Raleigh there. Raleigh done troubled the water. Sing it. Wade in the water, Muslims. Wade in the water, Muslims. Wade in the water, Muslims. Raleigh done troubled the water. Oh, who's that yonder all dressed in green? Raleigh done troubled the water. Must be the mothers that Raleigh be. Raleigh done troubled the water. Sing it. Wade in the water, Muslims. Wade in the water, Muslims. Wade in the water, Muslims. Raleigh done troubled the water.
Islam.
Islam.
Praise Allah, honors to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We'd like to thank Brother Y. Sirius-El, Grand Sheik and Temple number 34, for his reading and his words and his demonstration of the prophet's divine instructions. The brother read from the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa, divine instructions 15 through 17. The brother also read from the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 48, the ending time and fulfillment of the prophecies. And the brother also read from a portion of the divine warning by the prophet for the nations in the Moorish literature. Islam?
Islam.
Just want to remind the Moors to keep their cell phones on silent or vibration. And, we don't want to disturb the nourishment on our holy day. Islam?
Islam.
Praise Allah. Without further ado, we'll call on the final speaker for this evening, Brother R. Jones-Bey, the Grand Sheik and Moderator of the Moorish Temple of America. After a song, Islam.
Islam. Lift the prophet up.
Lift the prophet up.
Still he speaks from eternity. And if I be lifted up from this earth, I'll draw men unto thee. The world is hungry for the living bread. Lift the prophet up for them to see. Trust in him and do not doubt the words that he said. I'll draw men unto me. The prophet up, lift him up, the prophet up. Still he speaks from eternity. And if I be lifted up from this earth, I'll draw men unto me.
Islam.
Islam.
First, let me take this opportunity to give praise to my Father, God Allah, the great God of the universe, who is making it possible for us to be saved. He's showing us the way home. But there's a process. Proclaiming your nationality is not enough. Saying I'm Moorish American is not enough. So what is enough? You learning how to be yourself. And that takes a self-inventory. And it takes prayer. Because you see, our Father has to tell us to be able how to identify the parts of us that we need to correct. If I don't know what to correct, if I don't know what it is, how can I correct it? Then, once he shows us or gives us that information, he has to show us or he has to direct us to the areas that we need to give attention to. If you say that I'm going to get better, how? What are you seeking to improve? Well, the key to that is this. Your improvement is based on how you're able to imitate the prophet. Because the prophet is the pattern. Now, if you're not willing to imitate the prophet so that you can understand the pattern, you're just simply playing a game with yourself. And when it comes time to display a certain character, it's going to be difficult for you to do because you have not practiced. In the Moorish Science Temple of America, practice is paramount. Not talk. Practice is paramount. You don't know Prophet Noble Drew until you imitate it. You don't know kindness until you be kindness. You don't know humility until you become humble. You don't know love until you be love. These things are necessary so that you can get a kinship. Develop a kinship with that part of you that's going to aid and assist in a great program of uplifting fallen humanity. Until you learn to put aside your personal differences with each other, there will be no spiritual growth. How can you allow a personality difference to prevent you from seeing the Allah in your brother or your sister? If Allah is in man and we accept that to be true, then we need to see Allah first. And when you can see Allah in your brother, then it's not so difficult to have to deal with your difficulties that you have with one another. Because if you can't talk to your brother, talk to Allah that's in it. Go beyond the brother physical manifestation. Go to Allah that's in it. Ask Allah, what can I do to help make the situation better? Well, he'll tell you. All you got to do is think that your condition can be better. If you think it, it will be better. We're trying to develop we're trying to develop a relationship with Almighty God. That's what we need to know first. It don't matter how much money you think that you're entitled to. It does not matter how much money they promise you're going to get because of the time that you spend in slavery. None of that makes any difference if you don't have the mind to employ it right. Can you think? The Prophet Noble Drew is teaching us how to think. Before all this other stuff come to us, you got to know how to think. Don't you know? Them people know who you are. But they're not going to give you nothing until you show who you are. You got to be it. They know the character of the prophet. And they know all those who follow him. Because those who follow him also display a similar character. It is only through him, by imitating him, will the doors open for us. The doors are not going to open up for us just because we accumulate a lot of human knowledge. The greatest human knowledge is blindness and folly. That means we need something else. And that only comes by way of the gift of the understanding. He tells us what to focus on. Know thyself. When we start to focus on ourselves, then we'll be able to get some type of self-control on how we act towards one another. They're not worried about us as long as we show division. They're not concerned about unity as long as we show we can't get along with one another.
That's right.
Because when we show that, they know we're not practicing. The only thing that frightens them are those who live the life accordingly. If you live the life, that frightens them. Because that's opposing the dominant way of thinking in this country. The accumulation of things. The pursuit of materialism. Take you from inside yourself, outside yourself. I can deal with you when you're outside. I'm afraid when you stay in.
That's right.
So that lets me know I need to develop self-control. I can't expose myself to those who will judge me by my physical manifestation. See, some of us think, don't nobody watch us. If you're thinking that you're not being watched, you are out of your mind. They watch everything you do. The key with them is not to let you know they watch. They so shrewd, they give you a telephone, put it in your hand, make you pay for it, and they watch everything you do.
That's right. Teach.
And then on top of that, to show you how ignorant we are, we get on the Facebook and get all our business up.
It's
Oh, look, we even get in arguments with one another on Facebook.
It's
We make threats to one another. Now, what kind of sense is that? They're not going to give us nothing with that present behavior. That's a certain state, a mentality.
That's right.
That has always proven to be detrimental to our people. It has always kept our people in a state of slavery, fighting for rights that, for real, that's ours anyway. You can't give me a right, a civil right. Keep that.
That's right. Right, the privilege.
Keep that civil right. You got to go and get it ratified every so often. I don't need no right like that. You're going to take it and give it, take it and give it, take it and give it. No, we ain't going to play that kind of game.
That's right. That's right.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to learn what does it take to be recognized. I need recognition. Not as someone in pursuit of trying to get something for nothing, but being one who's willing to make the sacrifices that's required to render the assistance to our people.
True meaning of love.
To help bring our people up from a dead state of mind. You see what's happening to our people? Don't you see our young men in D.C.? Their pants are getting lower and lower and lower. That's a mentality. That's a state. And now in D.C., the young ladies starting to copy that type of behavior. That's a mentality. We're here to change the state of mind. And what we're going to do, we're going to show them by way of our words, acts, and deeds. When you say you're about the prophet, then you must go the extra mile. If someone says something that you don't like, you got to learn to deal with it in an intelligent way. No one's supposed to know that you beefing. You shouldn't be out there telling everybody your business. You should be trying to find a way to work out any difference that you have. How do you not work out a difference and you got this?
That's right.
How do you have problems and you got this? You got the word of spirit in your possession and you got problems?
Come on.
There should be no problem that you cannot resolve if you are willing to resolve. The only reason that you don't resolve problems is because you don't will to do it. Nothing is supposed to stand in our way. Because we got this. And if you're living this, if you're being this, you know how to carry it. And you also know when you hit them weak moments, because we all got weaknesses. where truth and falsehood strangely mixed. And we have developed a habitual way of performing certain actions because of where we were, how we come up. When you don't know who you are, you're implanted with certain thoughts that cause a certain behavior pattern that keeps you enslaved. Because each time you create that behavior pattern, you are creating a condition that comes from the way you think. And by thinking like that, you continue to stay in the hell that you create for yourself. Why in the world would the prophet tell us that the heaven and hell are states of mind, giving us an option of which one to choose to be in? Telling us which one to choose to be in. But how would I know heaven? How would I know heaven unless I have created it, a portion of it, for myself? What do I want in my heaven? It's not what I learned in hell. I got to change the way I think. My problem is the way I think. My problem ain't with you or nobody else. I got to change the way I think. My problem is with me. That's what I got to deal with. It ain't all right. Look, it ain't all right to think a certain way just because you always did it. It is, look, you can't continue to come up to me and tell me, well, you know how I am. I do know how you are. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to develop within me a method of dealing with you. I'm going to ask to give me the understanding of how I can construct a technique and how to deal with you. Because I don't want to deal with you unfairly, unjustly, or mean. I don't want to be mean. In my dealing with you, I want to learn the proper means of dealing with you. So I can grow and you can grow too. Because if you're my brother, I want for you what I want for myself. Not here to try to utilize superior understanding to put somebody in slavery to do my bidding. I'm here working on my life sums and share with you some of the things that I've learned in hopes that they may aid and assist you in your quest to be yourself. That's what this is about. This ain't about trying to be bigger than you are. This ain't about accumulating information to make you think that you know more than anybody else.
That's right.
That's not what this is about. The ones who are victorious in this pursuit are the ones who can live the life accordingly. You got to live this. You don't know the prophet noble dwelling until you live it. You can talk a good game.
Right.
You can quote. You can sound intelligent. But upon investigation, I see some errors. I see flaws. Not because I'm looking for them, but because that's just the way you are thinking like you do. So what happens with the thoughts when you think like that? They manifest in flesh. Anybody got to talk about you? You tell on your own self.
Teach the lesson.
Because you can't hide, Muslim. You can't hide. Because the rock-on crowd, any thought you think will manifest, especially though, and it manifests more rapidly based on the energy that you put into it. If you think in a certain way, you will be a certain way. And you can't hide. So that's what we are learning. We're learning to be real. This is a real movement dealing with real people that have a higher self and a lower self. You don't come in here overnight and all of a sudden you've been baptized. And all of a sudden I ain't doing what I'm not doing that no more. Yeah, in front of me. You found a nice place to go where you can hide and do the same thing you've been doing all along. No, that's not what this movement is about. You want to benefit from being in the Moorish Science Temple of America, a holy and divine movement, then practice the principles. Live the life. Expose yourself to the great teachings of our holy and divine prophet. A thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. Make yourself known to him and he to you. And then you know when you put your hand in his hand, you're putting your hand in Allah's. Look, in his, not only his messenger, but his redeemer. Get to know the prophet. Look, you know what? The prophet don't cuss. Y'all know that, right?
Right. Yes.
So if you're saying foul language, you got to first clean that up. That's something you can do in imitating the prophet. And once you start changing how you talk to people, then see how people start responding to you. Then you know that the prophet is real. And just that little bit. Oh, I bet you can. You can learn how to treat people right. You can learn how not to go tit for tat with people. Always wanting to have the last word. Let's see if you can practice saying, well, when there's a difference of opinion, you can find the willingness to say Islam. Let's see when we get in some heated conversations, you can learn how to say peace. Instead of letting it prolong where we start to get nasty with one another. Saying things that we shouldn't say. Going around looking for those who think like us about that situation so we can congregate and we can get fed from one another's evil intent. So we got to learn how to get along before we progress forward. You want unity? Unity, there's a price for unity. Unity just not going to come to you because you say that's what you want. There's a price for unity. And in the price, there is sacrifice. And if you're not willing to make the sacrifice, you're not worthy of unity. Or understanding what unity is. You'll get stuck in this regard. Unity being something that we all do together. No, that's not unity. That's just everybody working together doing one thing. You got to know what unity is. Unity is divine. It's divine. And if you're not willing to practice divinity, how can you expect to experience unity? Yeah, that's what this Moorish science symbol. Well, that's what it has shown that to me it's about. We can learn a lot of stuff in here because the prophet opens our mind to want to gain knowledge. But knowledge is not worthy unless you seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. That's the first thing you got to do. Why do you think he told you? Seek ye first before you seek anything. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because it's a state of mind. It takes a certain thought to create heaven. And when you're in that way of thinking, you raise yourself up. Then you see the illusion for what it is, so therefore it does not have the same type of pull on you. And as you start to ascend, you start to see life in a different way. You start to see Allah in man. And I gotta treat you different once I start saying, oh my goodness, I done just cussed this man out and Allah's in I'm in front of Allah cussing this man out. Saying all type of foul things to this man. And Allah is in him. How can you justify that? That's why we need to practice thinking on a more advanced level. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Let him open up those doors of life to you so that you can see what it is to be kind. You can see the merit in being kind. You can see the advantage in being kind. Because anything other than that, you're just simply playing with yourself. You can't get this if you don't be this. One of the things that Allah said was that's so important that we need to take and incorporate it into our being. He said, be. You must be for you to know. Because you must be what you know. You don't know about the Moorish Americans unless you be a Moorish American. It ain't just coming in here taking out a nationality card.
That's right.
You got to be a Moorish American. That means you got to be a Muslim. You got to be a submitter. Because Moorish Americans are Muslims. They're submitters. Unless you submit, you're just one of those individuals who say that you're a Moorish American. We got enough of them. We got enough of those who think that they can profess to be something and don't have to live the life. They contribute to the misunderstanding of what the movement is dedicated to. They'll have you thinking all kind of stuff. They'll have you thinking that that's what Moorish Americans do. No, they don't do that. Those who are disciples of Prophet Noble Drew are not, they're not demonstrating in their behavior patterns those things that bring about discord and inharmony. If you're going to be real, be real. This is a real movement. This is not a movement based on someone's figment of someone's imagination. This is real. And for you to benefit, you got to be real.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter, again, let me repeat, how much you think you know. You know the clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. And it's going to perish within the grave. So what we need to do, well, no, I won't say what we need to do. I'll say what I need to do. I need to become more acquainted with God. Because if I can get acquainted with Almighty God, then I can learn to appreciate you even more. This is a godly movement. And you must learn to follow the instructions that are given to us by Almighty God Himself, who allowed His thought to manifest in flesh for the purpose of us seeing that it can be done. Do not take your position lightly in this organization. Understand that you have been awakened for a reason. Not for thyself itself were these enzymes.
That's right. Come on.
But of the good it may be up to others. You have a responsibility. You cannot stand by and see someone misrepresent your holy and divine movement while you stand aside and say, I don't want to disturb the peace. The peace is disturbed. It's already disturbed when you have someone in your midst misrepresenting this movement. I don't want to say nothing because it might disturb the peace. Come on, that ain't the way this is done. You in here, you got to have courage enough for truth. If you ain't got no courage, then you need to go someplace and sit down and keep your mouth shut and stay out the sight of people. You got to stand up in here. You say you with this, you with this.
That's right.
Because it's getting to the point now where you don't have as much time as you think you do. Didn't he just read it, the Grand Sheik of 34 and the Grand Sheik of 54? Didn't he read that the great sin, if the above principles are not carried out, the worst is yet to come? Well, do you see the principles being carried out? No. Don't you see it's magnifying? Can't you see it? Did he not tell us he's going to make the European tell the truth? Islam. Can you see the truth that's being told to you? Then you should be making a speedy reparation to the utmost of your powers. You're supposed to be getting yourself together Because you know also that he has told to us, before one dot or tittle of what I say fails to come to pass, heaven and earth will pass away. Those are not idle words. These are prophecies. So that we can get ready. The time has come when every tongue must confess his own. Every tongue. You got to stand on your own now. No, look. Don't you know a record book exists? And in the record book there's a registry. In the registry registers every word, act, or deed. And when you're called to stand before the great tribunal, you don't have to open your mouth. Let the records reflect. So we just saying, look, it's a blessing being here. I have made it back to New York City. But I'll tell y'all all must have some money because it's expensive to come in here. Man, good gracious.
And the easy pass ain't easy. That's right, Mo.
But yeah, man, it's nice to be here. It's nice to be here. I have enjoyed my opportunity that you have extended to me for allowing me to share with you that which has been made known to me. Listen, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not here to tell people what to do. Like I know. I'm learning what to do myself. And in practicing what I'm learning, my life is truly better. And having been on both sides of the track,
That's right.
I am able to make the proper distinction between the one and the other. And this one is salvation. I'm going to give praise to the great God of the universe, who is almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. I give honor to the last prophet of these days, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of this holy and divine movement. I give honor to all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. I give honor to Marcus Garvey, the forerunner of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to all past Supreme Grand Advisors and Moderators, Brother C. Kirkman-Bey, Brother Nelson-Bey, Brother J. Blakely-Bey, to our former Grand Sheik and Moderator of the Moorish Temple of America, Brother Arlaville. I give honor to all national, local, state officials. I want to give particular honor again to the Grand Sheik of Temple number 21, Brother Revels-Bey. We got history. We got history. By that I mean, Brother Revels-Bey has been in here just as long as I have. Meaning that he has his feet planted. I give honor to Brother Clark Hill. Again, we got history. Again, we've been in here about the same time anymore. About the same time. And of course, Brother Sirius-El, I give you much honor for opening your doors, and keeping them doors open, and inspiring your members to keep the doors open. Don't worry about who you don't have. Work with who you do have.
That's right.
And may Allah bless you. I'm going to read from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple of America, and I'm going to read from chapter 35, Home Instructions from the Proper Religion, and I'm going to start from instructions number 1. And I'm going to read till 10. There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. The sun is not Allah, though his noblest image. He enlighteneth the world with his brightness. His warmth giveth life to the products of the earth. Admire him as the creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. To the one who is supreme, most wise, and beneficent, and to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. who has stretched forth the heavens with his hands, who hath described with his finger the courses of the stars, who setteth bounds to the ocean that they cannot pass, and saith unto the stormy winds, be still. Who shaketh the earth and the nations tremble, who dareth his lightnings and the wicked are dismayed, who calleth forth worlds by the words of his mouth, who smiteth with his arm, and they sink into nothing. O reverence the majesty of the omnipotent, and tempt not his anger, lest thou be destroyed. The providence of Allah is of all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will. In the depth of his mind he revolveth all knowledge. The secrets of futurity lie open before him.
That's right.
The thoughts of thy heart are naked to his view. He knoweth thy determination before they are made.
That's right.
With respect to his precepts, there is nothing contingent. With respect to his providence, there is nothing accidental. Wonderful he is in all his ways. His counsels are inscrutable. The manner of his knowledge transcendeth thy conception. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submissive obedience to his supreme discretion. The Father is gracious and beneficent. He hath created the world in mercy and love. Peace.
I want to do like Allah said do.
I want to do like Allah said do. And if I do like Allah said do, I know that everything is gonna be alright.
I want to pray like
Allah said pray.
I want to pray.
I want to pray like Allah said pray. And if I pray like Allah said pray, I know that everything is gonna be alright.
I want to serve like
Allah said serve.
I want to serve.
I want to serve like Allah said serve. And if I serve like Allah said serve, I know that everything is gonna be alright.
I want to love
Like Allah said love.
I want to love.
I want to love like Allah said love. And if I love like Allah said love, I know that everything is gonna be alright.
I know that
Everything is gonna be alright.
Islam,
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 Islam.
Praise Allah, honors to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Jew Ali. We'd like to thank Brother R. Jones-Bey, the Grand Sheik and Moderator, for his reading and his words and his demonstration of the Prophet's divine instructions. The Brother grabbed for the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 35, Holy Instructions from the Prophet, Religion. Brother grabbed from divine instruction 1 through 16. Praise Allah. Feels good to be in the temple on the holy day. We get our nourishment, and the seed was sown definitely in New York tonight.
that's right.
Praise Allah. We'd like to thank the Grand Sheik for blessing us with his presence, and we'd like to thank all the speakers this evening for blessing us with the words and the demonstrations from the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet. It's a blessing. Praise Allah. Without further ado, I'm going to call on Brother K. Richardson-El, the Assistant Grand Governor, to read out the divine warning. Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
First and rise, giving praise to the great God Allah, and give honor to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Jew Ali, and give honor to the harbinger to the prophet, Brother Marcus Garvey, and give honor to the past supreme grand advisors and moderators of the Moorish Temple of America, Brother C. Kirkman Bey, Brother F. Nelson Bey, and Brother J. Blakely Bey. I give honor to the former Grand Sheik and Moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother R. I give honor to the Grand Sheik and Moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America, who is here in our presence, Brother R. Jones-Bey. I give honor to all national, state, local officials of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I give honor to all those who are assembled here today. And I give honor to all things that pertain to Islam. Divine warning by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and but cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Peace.
Peace.